Hello, Sycamore, and welcome to another episode of Spartan Chat. Today we are so fortunate to be able to spend some time with Miss Emily Waller, principal at West Elementary School right here in Sycamore. Miss Hoffman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Miss Waller, we invited you here today because we know how passionate you are about CHAMPS classroom management strategy. A lot of people may not know that we use that here in our Sycamore Elementary schools. Could you start by telling us how you came across CHAMPS and why you thought it would be great to bring to our schools?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So I actually used CHAMPS myself as a teacher when I taught middle school, and it was a really great strategy to help students know what to expect in the classroom. So each letter of CHAMPS stands for something different. I'm going to quiz you guys. Who knows what the C stands for? Yeah, C is conversation or voice level. What about the H? Help. So that's how you ask for help. What about the A?
Activity.
Yep, that's the activity. So that's what you're working on at the time. How about M?
Movement.
Oh my
Great job. Movement means how you can move about the classroom. And what about P?
Participation.
You're killing it over there. So participation is how we participate in the class. And then if we do all of those things and follow those expectations, we succeed. We have success in our classroom. So CHAMPS really helps students to know what to expect during different times of their class. So it really helps things to be very clear for students and for adults. Anyone walking into the classroom knows what the expectations are. So I really love CHAMPS because it's a positive approach to classroom management.
That's really interesting. Did all of the schools start using it at the same time, or did it start small and grow from there?
Another great question. So we talked as principals. Our principal team is really close, all 5 of us, and we talked about using CHAMPS across all elementaries in Sycamore. West and North Grove kind of kicked it off first and tried it out with some teachers, and then from there it grew to all of the schools, and this year everybody is using it.
What do you love most about CHAMPS system? Why have you found it to be so effective?
I think what I love most about CHAMPS is that it doesn't leave any room for questioning. So if a student doesn't really know what they're supposed to be doing in a class, have you guys ever felt that way before? Like you just don't know what's going on or what's expected of you? Yeah, that makes things really confusing. And then that's when some behaviors can start happening because we just aren't clear on what we're supposed to be doing. So I love CHAMPS because it makes everything very clear. And that's also why I've found it to be so effective.
We're having such a nice time visiting with Mrs. Waller. I know we have a few more questions, but before we get to those, let's take a quick break to hear from one of our wonderful sponsors. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Life doesn't always go as planned. When you need a trusted advocate by your side, turn to the law office of Evan King in Sycamore. Whether you're facing a personal injury, dealing with family matters, or navigating other legal issues, Evan King provides experienced, compassionate counsel to help you make the best decisions for your future. With over a decade of experience, Evan is committed to securing the best outcomes for his clients, no matter the challenge. Because when it comes to your rights, you deserve a lawyer who will go the extra mile. Your future is worth protecting. Visit evankinglaw.com or call 815-899-1222. The Law Office of Evan King, your advocate when it matters most.
Okay, we're back with Mrs. Waller, learning about CHAMPS classroom management strategy. Mrs. Waller, what would you say sets CHAMPS apart from other strategies that teachers and principals might use?
I think what sets CHAMPS apart is that it's proactive. So it helps teachers and principals or other people in the building give kids expectations before something happens. So that way they know what's really clear and what's expected of them. So we use CHAMPS all throughout our building. We have CHAMPS expectations for the hallway, for the lunchroom, for recess, for the bathrooms, even for whole school assemblies. So every kid in our building knows what's expected of them.
Has CHAMPS worked perfectly just as designed, or have you found that you've had to adjust it as time goes on?
Well, I wish everything worked perfectly as designed, but just like most things, it's trial and error. So CHAMPS is something that teachers and staff have to kind of adjust to their own style in their classroom. So some people will have students come up to the front of the room and champ it out. I know Andrew's class does that. We have a couple other classes at West that do that. Other classrooms, the teacher will champ it out. And so every classroom has a different strategy for how to use CHAMPS. And it gives teachers the opportunity to play around with what works best for them and for their group of students.
What would say to teachers at the middle and high school levels about how CHAMPS could be adapted to help them manage their classrooms more effectively?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said earlier, I use CHAMPS as a middle school teacher myself, and so I would definitely recommend it. Again, going back to the clarity that it provides for students, that just makes everything a lot easier in your classroom. And it also helps teachers to think through every part of their classroom. So whether they're giving direct instruction, it's independent practice time, or it's group work time, it gives students an outline of how they should, what is to be expected of them. So it can work at any level.
All right, I think we're gonna need to take one more quick commercial break to hear from another of our amazing sponsors. We'll be right back.
Do you love to sing or play an instrument? Are you looking to improve your skills and take your talents to the next level? Then you need the Music Connection. At the Music Connection, each teacher brings years of experience and a passion for learning and creativity. Whether you're just beginning or looking to take the next step in your musical journey, make your connection with the Music Connection. Learn more at themusicconnection.com.
Okay, listeners, it looks like we've got time for one more question with Miss Waller, principal at West Elementary. Miss Waller, what have students said about the CHAMP system?
That's a great question. We've had a lot of students at West say that they enjoy the CHAMP system, especially because we've had teachers really make it their own. So kids feel a lot of ownership in the expectations in their classroom, and they feel a lot of success because they know what is expected of them. It's really cool to see some teachers, like Andrew's teacher, Mrs. Drake, shout out to Mrs. Drake, gives a CHAMPS champ every week. So kids get a trophy when they follow the CHAMPS expectations consistently. So it's been really cool to see how teachers have made it their own. And then it's also been cool to see how students know the CHAMPS expectations and know the common language all throughout the building. And I've even heard kids at other schools when I'm visiting other classrooms know the CHAMPS expectations as well.
It seems pretty clear to me that Miss Waller is truly a champion of the CHAMPS strategy, and we're really glad she could join us today to tell us more about it. Mrs. Waller, thanks so much for being here.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, folks, that brings another great episode of Spartan Chat to a close. But be sure to check back soon for our next episode, where Mr. Brenz will interview some of our classmates about their perspective on the CHAMPS system. Until then,
Go Spartans!